Hey, welcome everybody back to the Hall of Heroes History Podcast. I'm your host, John Osborne, and with me as always is my good friend and curator of the museum, Alan Stewart. We are doing Toys of Christmas Past. This is one of our favorite things that we do through the year. And it's really cool because you get to see stuff that we had when we were kids, but you get to see even back even further and into the future. The stuff that we really didn't get, but we started being collectors, so we actually are getting them.
Exactly.
So it's really cool. So we have the 40s, the late 30s, 40s, and 50s. Because the only thing that we have from the 30s, 1939, is Superman.
Yes. So this is the so pretty much, 30s and 40s, the only superhero toys that there were pretty much Superman and Captain Marvel, aka Shazam. The first ever licensed superhero toy was this toy right here, the Superman wooden doll.
Action figure!
From Ideal Toys in 1939. Currently, there's only 15 of these that exist in the world today.
Oh, really?
It's very rare. Yeah, it's really cool, though. What's really neat about there's a little bit of a ghost story, so we're going to shift it back to Halloween. But if you look at the face, he looks like George Reeves from the 50s.
And this is
Superman.
39.
Exactly. This is 15 years before
the
TV show. So it's a little creepy. I mean, considering his history where, he was, they claim it's suicide, but he was probably murdered, at least I kind of go that direction. But it's a really cool piece, but this is the first licensed superhero. So this would be the first superhero toy that you would have gotten under the Christmas tree.
Very
that
cool.
Santa would have brought, which is really cool. Some of the other ones, we have the Superman tin airplane, which is really cool. You wind it up and Superman lifts the airplane. That's amazing. That's from the 40s. We have the Superman Sirocco statue that came out in 1942, which is really cool. The Shazam pieces, we have the
you better say Captain Marvel.
Captain Marvel Dime Bank. Captain Marvel Dime Bank. And then this came out in 1947. This is the Captain Marvel figures with the box. And a lot of people that have seen us on season 3 of Toy Hunter, Jordan from Toy Hunter brought us the Captain Marvel with the box, which was pretty amazing.
Very awesome.
We already had Captain Marvel Jr. and Mary Marvel. There's actually one more figure from the set that we do not have. So if anybody wants to help us, Hoppy the Marvel Bunny.
Hoppy the Marvel Bunny.
We don't have Hoppy the Marvel Bunny, so we're missing Hoppy.
I didn't know it was Hoppy if it was going to be the uncle.
Oh, Uncle Dudley.
Yeah.
No, it's Hoppy.
Okay.
Yeah, it's Hoppy. And there's not very many of the Hoppies around. And if you do find him, normally the ears are broken off of him. And I've not been able to find one yet, or at least not a complete one.
Right.
So if anybody knows, let us know because we'd love to finish that setup.
Yeah.
And so that's kind of some, just a sampling of the 40s stuff. There's a lot of other tin toys that came out, Superman, Captain Marvel.
This is just an example of the
right. This is an example, because we're going to cover, this first segment, we're going to cover 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s. So we've got limited time. So we can only grab a handful of pieces for each decade.
These are the cool ones.
These are good ones. Yeah, these are good ones.
Well, you also have the
50s. Yeah.
The 50s was basically only Superman.
Exactly.
Back in the day.
Because of the George Reeves TV show.
Exactly.
Yep. That was really
there was a lot. And then there was, the soldiers were coming back from World War II still.
In the 40s.
Right. In the 40s.
Right. Not in the 50s, though. Yeah.
Right. Not in the 50s, but like in the late 40s and stuff like that, soldiers were still coming back. Mm-hmm. So superheroes kind of died off a little bit, and Superman sustained all of it.
He did. Yep. And then when the George Reeves show in the 50s, became just super popular.
Right.
It originally started black and white. First couple seasons, then went to color. So a couple of the things that we have here are from the show. This I think is the coolest toy. The Superman Muscle Building Kit. They came out in 1954. This is mint and box, and there's a little comic strip on the inside of the box.
Love it.
Which is awesome. But this is just standard kind of workout equipment of the time period. Got the pulleys, just to stretch,
your chest,
and then you have a jump rope, and you have the little, the hand grips. And you have the Superman Muscle Building Kit pin. It also comes, I didn't grab that, but it also comes with like a workout chart where you can kind of keep track of your workouts and everything. And it had like a Superman poster that came with it, which we have all of that. But yeah, this is just it's just such a cool toy from 1954. I mean, just imagine opening up this, the box is still nice and crisp
Oh,
and
my
clean,
word.
and the color's good on it.
That would be so
Um,
amazing.
But this is not the most popular Superman toy of the 50s. The most popular is the Superman playsuit. So
now, you would think that you would call it like a Halloween costume, but they did a great job of
they didn't have
marketing.
Halloween costumes at this point in history.
Right. So, okay.
Yeah,
So
because
you
Ben Cooper
wouldn't
started
even,
in the 60s.
you wouldn't call it that even back then.
Right.
But this, to make sure that you're playing with it all year round, they called it a what?
Playsuit.
Yeah, they called
Superman
it a
playsuit.
playsuit.
But here's the genius, the marketing side of why they did this. They called it a playsuit instead of a Halloween costume, so they could sell it all year long.
Right.
And I've seen online that there's different like ad pictures that shows George Reeves with a ton of these just signed in these for kids at like Woolworths and the big department stores back in the 50s. But yeah, the playsuit was the number one thing that kids wanted because they wanted to dress up as Superman.
Yeah.
So the playsuit from the 50s was probably the most popular Superman toy connected to the TV series.
Very cool. So that is the 40s and the 50s.
Yep.
We are going to travel into the future, into the 60s and 70s. Let's just do 60s. We're going to travel into the 60s.
Yeah.
And we're going to do a little bit of Christmas magic. So we'll be right back after these messages. And here we are, the 1960s. This is one of my favorites that we do because this is where you get your first Batmobile. So that was really cool. But the 60s also, if you noticed, in the 40s and the 50s, no Marvel.
That's right.
No Marvel. I mean, Fawcett had Captain Marvel,
right?
But so he wasn't part of Marvel at all. He was his own thing.
Exactly.
And you had Superman, and you had Wonder Woman, and you had stuff like that back then.
Right.
But in the 60s, that's when Stan Lee gets a hold of Marvel, and that's when he starts putting out products.
Well, this is when the big characters come out. This is, when you start seeing, the Avengers and X-Men and Spider-Man and Hulk and Thor. I mean, they all came out from 61 to 64.
Right.
They just, they never did merchandise on Captain America other than the Center Liberty Club.
Yeah.
But that wasn't really toys. But yeah, in the 60s, when they just, revamped and the Silver Age era starts, this is when Marvel finally starts giving us toys and merchandise.
Right.
And some of the cool Marvel stuff is this right here. This is the Marx Marvel Tin Express that came out in 1967. This is the holy grail of toys for Marvel. And you've got the tin train, and then it's all metal. It's got all the characters on it on each side. Like I said, this is a holy grail for Marvel collectors.
We did find a bit of a mistake on here when we were looking at it earlier.
We did.
Very interesting. Now, on one side, you have Submariner, you have the Human Torch, you have Daredevil, and you have Green Goblin and Spider-Man. But on the other side, what do we have?
So you got Green Goblin, you got Hulk, but right here it says Matt Murdock. That's an image of the owl, which is a Daredevil villain.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there is a mistake on the train.
Which is very interesting because we never realized that before until today, actually.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I never caught it until today.
Yeah.
Some of the other cool stuff is, they had the hand puppets by Ideal Toys that came out in the 60s. And Ideal had the licenses for both DC and Marvel. So this is the Captain America hand puppet, but they also did Lone Ranger, Wonder Woman, Captain America, Green Hornet, Spider-Man, and Tonto.
Oh, right on.
It was the whole line of hand puppets. So we've got the hand puppet in the box, which is cool.
And that's new to the museum, by the way.
It is, yeah. We just got this in a couple weeks ago. We picked this up at Grand Rapids Comic-Con. And then the Aurora models were great. So Marvel had three. They did Hulk, Spider-Man, and Captain America. And we do have all three boxes and the completed models, because models were huge in the 60s. Kids always wanted models for Christmas. It was a huge thing.
Yeah.
And, and they did some great kits.
Yeah.
Back in the 60s. They did monsters, they did, superheroes, DC and Marvel, but it was just great stuff. Every kid wanted to get a model.
Right.
This, the Easy Movie Projector from the 60s. It's got Marvel cartoons. This is so cool.
Yeah, it is. But
and we
would have
had box.
You would have had to have been like
had rich parents.
Rich parents,
right? Exactly.
To have something like this.
Exactly. Yeah. This was middle class or up.
Oh yeah. No, this was the kid down the street that you're just like, he just gets everything.
Right.
You know what I mean?
I hate that kid, but I want to go hang out with him just to play with his toys.
Oh, for sure.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah. I'll be nice to him just to play with his stuff.
Right. Exactly. If he pisses me off, I might break some of his stuff.
Right. On accident.
Right. Exactly.
Which would put me on the naughty
Of course,
list.
the other thing, so for the DC stuff, the primary stuff was Batman because of the TV show that was out. So most of the DC merchandise was Batman related to the TV show.
Right. You have this, and this is from?
That is the Ideal Batman cowl, which that was probably one of the most popular toys. And the cowl came in a big orange box, which we don't have one of the boxes. And it had the big plastic, cowl, and also had a cape that came with it, which was really cool.
And I don't know how many kids probably cut their ears on trying to put that over their heads.
Yep, exactly.
And then this, which we got, I think, last year.
Yep, we did last year.
This is new to the museum also. Very cool.
The Bat Phone.
Yeah, the Bat Phone says a couple of different things.
Yeah.
In box is very cool.
Because everybody recognizes the Bat Phone because, Batman would call, Commissioner Gordon would call Batman.
Right.
So, I mean, for the kids to have their own Bat Phone hotline was really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it was a very popular toy.
Yeah. I can imagine.
Because it actually works.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's very, Is this one? We might not have the batteries in it.
Yeah.
But
we don't put batteries in because, they tend to break down and destroy pieces. So, we don't keep batteries in our stuff.
And then we have the coolest toy of all.
In your opinion.
In my opinion. The Batmobile. If you guys don't know, or maybe you do know, I'm a huge Batmobile collector. I have over 600 different Batmobiles.
Yep.
This being one of them, which is actually given to me as a Christmas gift last year from Alan.
Yeah.
But this is, he also bought one for the museum.
I did.
So this is the one that we have at the museum. And this comes out around 67, 68.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
So because the show comes out in 66 and then they start putting stuff out. But the Corgi, which is a toy company,
similar to Hot Wheels,
yep. But they're more known for being in England, Great Britain, stuff like that. So that's where they're from.
At this time period, Corgi would have been more popular than Hot Wheels. Hot Wheels was just getting started at this point in the late 60s.
Well, yeah, because Matchbox came before Hot Wheels.
Exactly.
A lot of people don't realize that. Matchbox, they were called Matchbox because kids could take toys to school, and then it got a little out of control. Kids were bringing a lot of different toys to school, so they realized that you could bring a toy, but it has to be able to fit in a Matchbox. So that's where they get the name Matchbox car, because if it fit in the Matchbox, you could take you could take a toy to school if it fit in a Matchbox.
Okay.
So that's where you get Matchbox, and then Matchbox becomes Hot Wheels, and then but this was more popular than Hot Wheels and Matchbox.
Right. Exactly.
And you getting your own Batmobile back then, I can't even imagine what that would be like.
Oh yeah, and then we have the Batboat with the trailer. That was another Corgi piece.
So cool. Now I have what they would consider, Batmobile collectors consider the holy grail of Batmobile collecting, which is these two together in one whole thing. And I have it in a box.
Window. Yep, exactly.
Yeah, I have that at home. It sits by my bed. I look at it every morning and I touch it every night before I go to bed. But anyways, so that is the 1960s. Very cool.
Yeah.
Great era. One of my favorite eras for toys because you're just getting all different kinds of things.
And if you were a kid in the 60s and you remember having any of these toys, comment and let us know.
Oh, yeah. And then maybe show us some pictures of things that we didn't show you, but we're just giving you the highlights.
Yeah. I mean, when you go through the museum, you'll see all kinds of stuff that you remember from your childhood and Christmas past. This is just a small sample.
Yeah, it's very cool.
Yep.
So we are going to transport into the 1970s and wrap this whole thing up. So we'll be back right after these messages from your local. I don't know. That doesn't mean anything. We're back here at the Hall of Heroes.
Yeah.
History podcast, and we are now to the 1970s.
Yes, absolutely.
Very cool. 60s we just did, and we had fun with that. There's a lot of really cool things. Yep. In the 70s, we start to get even cooler. They start to really take off with different things and different ideas.
Lots of stuff.
And those were some really cool ideas that they had right there.
They did. I mean, in 1970s, that's my era, my childhood. I grew up in the 70s as a kid. And, one of the few things that I got as a kid, I just remember Christmas 1978, lived in West Virginia, very poor. My Uncle Buddy would dress up as Santa for us every year. And, we'd get a couple of toys, but nothing big because, my family was all poor coal miners, so we didn't have a whole lot.
Okay.
But one of the Christmases I remember specifically is my uncle gave me one of these. Christmas of 1978, I got Colonel Steve Austin's $6 Million Man.
Yeah.
And what's really cool about this is I got to meet Lee Majors last year.
Right.
And so he signed, and you can see where he signed the chest
Right.
on the figure,
Very
which
cool.
is really cool. So yeah, most kids don't have that part, but which was really cool. And Lee was such a nice guy. And, we had that. This is broke.
The rubber bands wear out. After.
Right, the rubber band, and the same thing happens with Mego figures. These rubber bands, they dry rot and they snap. So I just got to have somebody restring new rubber bands. Yeah. But yeah, Bigfoot. And I tell you what, when I was a kid, the Bigfoot scared the hell out of me.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it was creepy, man. Andre the Giant was Bigfoot.
That's right.
Yeah, and it was such a creepy episode. That's the only episode that actually scared me as a kid was Bigfoot. Holy crap! I mean, when you're a little kid, it's like, damn.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
But that Migos, I loved, and I call these Barbies for boys.
Yeah, I mean that's
because the cloth costumes removable and stuff.
Right.
But I had a handful of Migos as a kid. I had like Batman and Robin. I had Spider-Man. I don't think I had Captain America as a kid. I think I had Hulk. And then, we have some of the DC ones over here, some of the Marvel ones here, so you can kind of see what they look like in the boxes. But yeah, those were just super popular for the kids.
Oh, for sure.
And some other great stuff was how many of you remember Color Forms and Presto Magics?
Oh, man.
And the Color Forms were cool because Color Forms, you could... you
make your own scene.
Yeah, and you could redo it. You could wash it and wipe it off, and you take the figures and you put them on like the cityscape and everything, which was great. And you could just play for hours and make up your own stories.
Right.
And Color Forms were great. Presto Magics were similar.
I didn't have Presto Magics. Right. I don't know if that was
Presto Magic is a little different because you would take like this. So this has like stickers.
Right, but they're not like they're removable stickers.
This particular set is, but like if you got the big box sets like this, they would do that. They were very much like the Color Forms, but remember the small ones you would get at the checkout at the grocery store?
Okay.
And you would rub them with like a quarter or a penny. They were permanent.
Yeah.
Yeah, so that's what the smaller Presto Magics were.
Oh, yeah, that's right. It was like a little tattoo.
Blue. They were blue.
Yeah, but you would just put them on there, and then you would rub it on there, and it would be on
it's
there.
like a tattoo. Exactly.
Yeah, like
you would rub it on.
Yeah.
Exactly. Yeah, and so those were really cool. I used to get those in my stocking. I would get like one of those because they had Spider-Man and Superman, and they did a lot of those. These are like the bigger kit ones.
Yes.
That's a removable you could reuse and stuff.
Yeah.
Another cool thing was these comic books.
These were awesome.
They have records. So it's a comic book, and then there's the record.
Yeah.
So you play the record, and the story gets read. Yeah, you could follow along with the comic book.
Yeah.
With the story.
Yeah, those were very popular.
Yeah.
I didn't have any of the superhero ones. I remember I had one, and this is like I'm just thinking of this.
Sure.
Like literally. Yeah. Charlie Brown, and then there was was one, but there was a where he was he went to a motorcycle race event or something like that, and
I don't remember that one.
I don't know why I remember that,
but they did, and they did Star Trek. I believe they did Star Wars too. They did Conan. They did Planet of the Apes.
Oh, right.
So, I mean, they did a bunch of different licenses and properties for these comic book records.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. So, like the Fantastic Four one, this is from Fantastic Four #1, which is really cool.
Really cool.
Yeah. And then Captain America the Falcon. Yeah. And we have a whole exhibit here of a bunch of those. Most of the superhero ones we have.
Yeah.
Which is really cool. But it was cool. You could listen to the record. You could read the comic. These were just fun for hours.
Right.
Because you could just make different scenes and battles and stuff. I loved Color Forms and Presto Magics as a kid. I'd get those in I'd go looking for a coin, just like a junkie who just scratched off a lottery ticket. That's kind of how it was Christmas morning in the 70s, But yeah, it was great. It was great stuff. I really enjoyed it. Our next episode will be part 2 of Toys of Christmas Past.
We'll do 80s, 90s,
and 2000s. Exactly. Yeah.
So stuff more relatable to me because I was born in 75. So I was getting toys in the 80s. That's when I was really starting to like toys.
Yeah. So toys is 80s is about when I was getting out of toys as a kid. Yeah. Because that was my teen years.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. I was more interested in drinking and girls.
Yeah. Right. Fair enough. So Yeah, so we'll get to the 80s,
Yep.
we'll get to the 90s, and then some 2000 stuff. And that's where you start to get into that collector's type of toys.
Right.
Or stuff that was put in a box and is meant to stay in a box.
Right.
That kind of stuff you don't get out and play with.
Exactly.
So thanks for listening to this
Yeah.
one. This is part one. For Alan, I am John. This is the Hall of Heroes history, and this has been Toys of Christmas Past, 40s, 50s, 60s, and 70s.
Yep.
We'll catch you next time here, and enjoy your comics
And toys.
and toys.